12.
12 is to consider the creation of a temporary new transportation funding subcommittee.
All right, wonderful. Let's talk about recent efforts. So we put together, SDA put together a measure in 2016 called Measure B. We put together an effort in 2020 called Measure A, and we all experienced the Citizens Initiative in 2022. So some recent efforts. With those efforts, there were a lot of challenges. There was sort of a lack of public awareness on transportation needs, lack of alignment with SACOG's regional plan came out a lot in the 2022 initiative. In the 2022 work, there was formal opposition from taxpayer advocates, environmental stakeholders. We've seen opposition of specific projects over multiple measures that we've moved forward. Disadvantaged communities has always been, are we addressing disadvantaged communities? And that's always been a no, and no one's ever liked that. It's always been an issue with at least the last two measures. And then that ever-present 2/3 voter approval threshold, right, which is really challenging to meet. So there are a lot of challenges associated with the measure, and I've tried to outline a few of them here. And there's a lot of work that goes into these measures. So there's a lot of SCA-funded efforts, whether that's polling to understand voter priorities. There's usually a lot very robust outreach and education that goes with these measures. And then there's the cost of the election itself, putting the measure on the ballot that we've had to pay for. And not to mention just the cost. There's time to these efforts. You've got community meetings, stakeholder meetings, PAG meetings, which is a professional advisory group, meetings with the city councils, meetings with the county board, obviously STA governing board meetings. It is a lot of work for not just staff, but for the STA governing board. So eyes wide open as we go to the next slide. So should STA develop a new measure? If so, under what conditions would we do that? What principles should we work from? How will we address those challenges I just talked about? What will be the process to build consensus? Can we address some of these concerns we've heard before proactively? These are all questions, right? And what about that 2/3 voter approval threshold, which seems very challenging? We almost got there in 2016, but it was very challenging. So we don't want to take this decision of whether to consider pursuing a measure lightly. So the recommendation is to form a temporary subcommittee of the board to really look at, does it make sense to do a measure? If we did, what would be the process, timeline, and community engagement that we should consider? And should we include any principles or specific conditions with that, right? I'm recommending a 7-member governing board subcommittee, and also I'm recommending that the chair selects who that is, but the chair has to consider geographic diversity as well, and who's on that. So that's it.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Bewsey. Let's go to Board Member Frost.
I just want to quickly say I want to go on record as not supporting more taxes. I think right now, at almost every level of government, we have increases in fees, and it's having a major impact on our constituents. And I think it shows kind of a lack of sensitivity to the people who are wondering, they keep voting for tax increases, and yet their roads are still crumbling, and they don't see the money. They don't see where the money's going. So I don't support, exploring a new tax. I don't support increasing taxes, and I don't support more flexibility in how we can tax people. I think I do support transparency, and if there is a tax, a good tax is one that clearly defines the problem and fixes the problem and then sunsets when it's done. Thank you.